Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on this edition of the REI Hacker Podcast. I'm super fortunate to have our next guest with us. His name is Mark Kole. Mark is the founder of PropertySource. It's a global real estate marketplace platform for real estate investors to buy, sell, and transact properties online. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Benson. It's always great to see you.
Yeah. It's so cool to see kind of the evolution of the company. We met a couple years back. We're both part of the family mastermind, which has so many great people, and there's so many people doing cool things. And you and I really kind of synced up on many things, but both us being in the SaaS world and in the real estate world, and so it's cool to get the opportunity to get to know you better. Tell me a little bit about your background, where you came from, and how did you get into this world of SaaS and real estate?
All right. Well, I'm 57, so I'm got a little bit of time on the planet here. So I have been working in the software development space for the last 25 years. Also involved in that, I'm also an entrepreneur at heart. So I'm a guy who's always looking for the next best idea and another great business. So I've spent most of my career building out software products, and I got involved in healthcare. So my wife was a physical therapist, and we worked in the health industry. My wife had her own clinics. And so I got really intrigued with all the billing side of things. And so I started my career working and building software for the medical space. And I innovated. My first kind of patent pending thing was um, it's kind of a product that would do the appeals and denial management for hospital systems, for
Mm,
providers and whatnot. So I got really involved in that and innovated a lot of that space that there was no software to kind of handle the appeals process. So I automated the entire appeals process, file for a patent on that, end up selling it in a prototype stage for almost $5 million. So super excited. Was kind of my first big hit and first really big taste of kind of getting involved in projects. After that, I built out ink toner and printer supply platform. Ended up building it out. Took some of these ink and toner platforms, interconnected them just like I'm doing in the PropertySource world here, and really exciting to basically assemble white label marketplaces for ink toner and printer supplies for big groups like just as an example, employees for Northrop Grumman.
mm,
Also people like we have these Publix grocery stores, 1,600 stores, their employee groups, and Rutgers University, 750,000 alumni students there, and other groups. And so what I did is I kind of built out this platform, and I end up with about 20 million users, which was really amazing. I ended up selling that company and I built out like a Wix kind of a platform, which was really kind of fun, which
mhm.
I had this vision back in 2000. And it was really about, I saw everybody with a phone in their hand. And I thought, wow, this is going to be the next big thing, these mobile apps and things. So I built out a platform that would kind of automatically generate mobile apps. And I partnered up with a bunch of printer stores, printing stores, and to be my reseller. And I just built the tech. So it was really kind of a great. So I've kind of dabbled in all these different elements, but really focused on building platforms. And so my dad passed away, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And my dad owned a lot of building lots, a lot of properties, a couple thousand properties. And I was tasked with trying to sell these properties and decided that I would, start trying to broker, sell them, whatever you wanted to say. And my wife actually said, "Why are you putting them on spreadsheets? Why are you putting them in Excel? You're a software developer. Why don't you build a platform? Why don't you post them online? Because this whole selling of these real estate deals is like turning our life upside down. Because most of the time as a software developer, I'm working evenings and early mornings, and when I'm fresh with energy. And then by the afternoon, I'm hanging out with my wife, going out and doing a lot of fun things. And our whole life turned upside down by trying to sell these real estate deals. So I had this, I didn't actually have the idea, my wife did. So my wife had the idea to create an online platform that I could post all the properties. People could They could see them, they could vet them out, they could look at the Google Maps, they could do the street view, they could do all these different elements and see all the information. And then I didn't even know how to fill out a real estate contract, to be honest with you. So I took the real estate contract, I built it online, I automated the autofill, as many people do with form filling tools, and I built this thing out and showed it to a couple people who were in the real estate business. And I had sold a lot of property through using that kind of a system. And I thought, wow, I've got something really great here. So that was kind of the birth of the idea. I filed for a patent on it, and then just started kind of building it as for a commercial application. So that's kind of
Yeah,
been
it's
my
that's
background,
pretty
so
cool.
kind of cool, So I've
Your
just
dad was a
been.
developer, right? He was in real estate, and you've even flipped some properties too, right?
Yeah, I flipped about 18 properties, but I'm a Polish Russian guy. So for me, I was always just a grinder and a worker. And I was always taught to put your head down and just work at something. And I really enjoy the hands-on. That's what I really enjoyed about the flipping of houses. I didn't really make a lot of money because I really over improved the properties. Like I
Mm,
literally went and rented a concrete saw and I never did plumbing or anything. I cut the floors out of houses. I replaced all the underground plumbing. I did all the work myself. I hired a couple helpers and stuff, and I really kind of enjoyed it. But I realized that, you know, I'm just for what I enjoyed that the physical work of it, it was just really not efficient. I would make like $40,000 on a house and I was done, but I'd only do one a year, so I made less money flipping houses than I did
yeah.
writing software. But I really, really, really enjoyed it because I was the kind of person, and maybe a lot of your listeners can relate to this. I was a person who, if I mowed my lawn, I loved the fact that when I was done, I felt like I accomplished something. I got
Yeah.
something done. It looked beautiful, and I felt very proud of what I did, which is what I enjoy about building out software. It's a sense of accomplishment that you built something, and people are kind of in awe, like, "Wow, I can't believe you built that." So that's the feel good that you get inside when you build things or you're creating.
Hmm. So tell me more about Property Source. It's an online marketplace. Tell me about what it does. What are the intricacies of Property Source, and how is it different than say like the MLS or other disposition platforms?
Sure. And this is probably so as an outsider to the real estate game, I found myself as a complete amateur novice with no real experience, and I'm now attending these events with so many amazing coaches and educators and people with such great strategies, and I just didn't know any of that. So, kind of approaching it from an amateur level, I looked at the real estate platform and the task of buying, selling, and flipping these properties, and I realized it that there was so many little nuances to the process that you could show me how to do the contract, but then I know how the strategy of finding the property? Did I know the strategy of selling the property? And there were so many strategies that you really needed uh, access to so many different coaching people and so many different groups and so much knowledge that I thought if I could automate that process, because remember, I'm a software developer and I'm looking to automate. It's, I think, a little bit of the lazy side of me. So I decided that I would build Property Source as a hub. And what I mean by hub is I looked around myself and I said, what are some of the just most awesome programs? What are the most awesome elements of software tools that are out there now? And how could I maybe take some inspiration from those to create a single platform that allowed people to come to one place to not only sell their properties, but also to interconnect with other people. I was very fortunate in the fact that I had some disposable income that I could actually travel to some of these events, masterminds and different events at different places where you can really get all the knowledge. But what about the people who are still working full time? They can't just jump on a plane and go to California and go to an event and spend, 3 days hanging out with people. So all of these factors are factors that help me design and develop Property Source. So in a nutshell, what Property Source is, imagine an off-market MLS platform that allowed every single coaching group, every single REI group, hard money lenders to all connect to one central platform. So how we're a little bit different is there's a lot of marketplace platforms that are Zillow. It's just a single source, single location, a single brand. What I realized is that there are so many educators, so many groups that have such amazing participation, community. Take Pace Morby, happens to be a friend of mine. Pace has this, all he talks about is community, community, community. And what I saw is this opportunity to basically plug all of these groups into one single platform, but not take away their identity. So what Property Source is it's a platform for communities to plug into so that they can still run and operate and have their own marketplace, their own branding, their own color schemes, their own following, their own kind of identity and ecosystem, yet they benefit by plugging into all the other communities. And so that was really my concept. It wasn't to try to compete with a investor lift or um, a connected investor or a Privy or anybody. It was to how do I bring all of those in? How do I interconnect everybody so that when I go to talk to Robert at Investor Lift, I'm not trying to be a competitor to Investor Lift. I'm trying to empower Investor Lift. I'm trying to empower Privy. I'm trying to empower, real, pardon me, real flow. The idea is how do I interconnect all of these groups to create one super group? And the super group concept for me was really the direction I wanted to go. That way I would not be competing with anybody. So I created a platform that if you had your own marketplace, you could just plug in using some digital API connections and you could basically take our aggregation of all the listings like MLS does and share them onto your platform and vice versa, share your listings onto our network of people. So and how do I do that globally? Because I felt like there are so many amazing people. And when I spoke to some of the software companies I spoke to, they were under the impression or of the mindset that if you were a person who sold one deal a year, they weren't really focused on you. And I wanted to empower those people. I wanted to empower the people who don't really um, have the network. If you're brand new to the industry, I wanted to make you wildly successful by connecting you with everybody. In addition, I wanted to also take people who are wildly successful and allow them to plug in the system and make it more of a convenience factor for them. So that was really my focus was how do I bring everyone to the table, not impose my views, my color schemes, my branding, my anything on anybody. So if you had your own marketplace, you could plug in. If you didn't have a marketplace, well, I'm a software developer, so I built out an ecosystem that would allow any coaching group, any REI group to kind of create their own marketplace for free and also allow them to brand it however they want, put whatever color schemes, and they could market it out to their network. And that was really the idea was just to plug everyone in, whether you had a really big budget and you wanted to use your own marketplace software, or you wanted to like, hey, I don't have any money at all, but I still want to connect my group to this network. And the aggregation element of it was really cool because, uh, for example, I mean, just going to events and stuff, to be honest with you, Benson, I mean, everyone loves you. You're such a great guy. Everyone's like super pro, Benson. And I love that. And you have so many people that ask advice and you give such great advice. I feel like your advice is not like a for sale advice. You give everyone advice. I watched you, just random people walking up and asking you your opinion or how to do this or how to do that. I watched you do it in person, and I see so many people at Family Mastermind, very similar mindset. And I thought, how do I connect all these amazing people to one platform, and how do I make that a global? How do I do that globally? And the only way to really do that is what Jeff Bezos did, which is Amazon. And how do we create an Amazon for the real estate industry that you can literally, you don't have to join Amazon and spend money to go on Amazon and shop for things. And I wanted that to be very similar to what I was doing with Property Source. And I wanted it to be a place where you could be an absolute amateur with no budget, no real disposable money at the moment to sign up for my software. How do I give that person access to sell a deal and help them be successful? And that was really the premise of where I started on my journey. So, in
Mm.
a nutshell, Property Source is essentially a just a super hub network for real estate, whether you're buying or selling, to join communities to plug into, connect to, so everyone can function as one giant marketplace without infringing on, the investor lifts, the privies, the hive minds, the anybody. Just really focused on how do we really just plug everyone together like MLS did.
Yeah. I think it's a brilliant concept too, because I think about like, so we formed a local mastermind slash REIA here in Denver, right? And a lot of people will form a real estate investment club because they want to create deal flow, right? So they want access to deals. And but it's such a small little unit. And what you've done is you've have all these small units that are out there, and you created this super hub for them all to plug into. And now my little hub here in Denver can connect with another hub in Wisconsin, or another,
Exactly.
or a coaching group, or a real estate brokerage, and so all these little groups can now share, because it's the hard part about any marketplace is it's the chicken and the egg idea, right? Like, do you need inventory first, or do you need buyers first, right? So it's
Right.
supply and demand, and they really have to grow at a similar rate for that to be successful, because one side or the other will be unhappy if you only build out one. If you only go out and get buyers, well, they want inventory, right? But
Yeah.
if you get a bunch of inventory, you have no buyers, then these people are unhappy. So you're growing them at the same rate, but everybody can share, right? But what I like about Property Source too is it can be closed, right? So they can use your infrastructure and they can have their closed network of deal flow, or they can open it up and they can show it to the rest of the world and get those eyeballs, or you can allow other people to see your deals too. So I really think it's a smart way of doing it. I just picture it like as like a web, right? All these
Yeah.
webs are interconnected, and that's really how this thing can grow, is because you can grow it organically worldwide, right? I might be able to see a property who put somebody put it in Italy, right? Or some other,
Yeah,
crazy country.
absolutely. Yeah, that's I just had a guy that lives in Boston. He's from Guyana. He put a property on to the platform. He bought a couple properties from the platform. His name is Nicholas, and we met, and he essentially had a deal that was going through the platform, and we automate that entire process, which I'll explain here in a minute. But the cool thing is you just to kind of touch on the topic you talked about. I met, I'm going to throw out some names. Bao Tran. Bao Tran, really awesome guy, Vietnamese business guy in our family mastermind. Totally, totally amazing guy. We talked at length about kind of expanding this into Vietnam. So, how do we do that? Well, all we do is we just say, okay, let's partner up, let's do it, and then he'll promote it. So, Property Source is really designed to allow anybody to kind of like anyone listening to this podcast right now could literally go on to Property Source. They could set up their own network and be live in probably 20 minutes tops. I mean, they could have their entire marketplace, all the technology, inter fully embedded contracting, all the lenders built in, all the title companies built in. We're connected with thousands and thousands, probably 20 over 20,000 title companies. I mean, I don't know the total number, but I'm just sharing with you. There's 5 major platforms that title companies run on, and we're connected to all of them. We're fully digitally interconnected with them. So if somebody makes an offer on a property on our platform and a buyer and the seller accepts that offer, it will literally digitally move into that title company you selected. You don't have to send emails, you don't have to send documents, you send nothing. It automatically is in their workflow, in their system. Same thing with lenders. We're integrated with lenders. We're working with like Lima One, RCN Capital. We're working with Alpha Funding. We're working with, uh, Lending One. I mean, there's so many amazing, and I'm missing people, Residential Capital, blah, blah, blah. We have some really amazing lenders who are ready, willing, and able to fund deals. Um, you know, and they want to be on the platform. But what's really cool about the platform is if you establish your own ecosystem on our site, and that's free, by the way. Anyone wants to call in and they have a group, REIA group, any kind of group, they can basically register for that for free. Um, and so anyway, what's just absolutely awesome about this is we've got all these embedded tools. We've got, like I said, the lending, the title companies. We got some appraisal companies on there. We're adding people every day. So what we're trying to do is almost kind of say, here's the structure you need, and we've got everything built in that you need, and we allow the person who owns and operates their ecosystem, their marketplace, they can select which lenders they want, which lenders they don't want to promote. A lot of people have favorite people. People have done them favors. This business is very full of relationship driven,
Yeah.
companies. And so we understand that, somebody might love Kogo Capital, but somebody else might not even know who they are. And so we want you as a person setting up a marketplace to build your own custom marketplace. And so we basically say, here's all the lenders that we have on our platform. And if you don't see someone you like, just let us know. We'll add them. Here's all the title companies, plug in whoever you want. Here's, your contracts, plug in your own contracts. So we are even expanding into blockchain now. So we're going to allow our groups to now have full access to tokenize any piece of real estate anywhere. And and I laugh because I've had some people say, well, tokenization's not really that big of a deal. Okay, maybe not today. However, if Jeff Bezos just opened a company to tokenize real estate, everyone should be put that on your radar. If BlackRock said they're going to tokenize $10 trillion worth of real estate, you should put this on your radar. So we understand that the concept of doing blockchain, not everyone gets it right now, but they will. However, the fact that we've already built and we're embedding all of this technology into our platform, and you can tokenize, offer tokenization to your clients for free. You can offer, this will be part of your platform. So we're already building it, and it's going to be there. So it's already embedded into your system. So this is the difference between our platform and others. But we don't actually have any customers at all. We have no one for PropertySource buys or sells any real estate through PropertySource. Now they may sell it through Privy, they may sell it through a connected investor, they might sell it through a Pace Morby, they might, anyone connected on our platform would anyone from a community connected to our platform would be buying and selling through their group, their community on using the PropertySource technology. Imagine us as we're like I'm trying to think of a great example would be the cable company, all the cables that connect all the houses in the nation that allow you to get cable TV at your house. We're essentially the cables. We're not the Comcast, we're not the Verizon, we're not these big suppliers or the people offering the
Hmm.
service. We're actually the infrastructure that people use to drive it. So if you
Yeah.
really, really love to use a certain platform, you can use it. And if they're plugged in, we're just giving those platforms more reach. Um, just to mention Robert Shimon. really awesome guy. This guy is plugged in. He's a coach, he's a book writer. I mean, this guy is just amazing guy, great speaker. We plugged in with Robert Shimon, and we're going to be offering this platform in Colombia. We're going to be offering the platform in Africa. We're offering the platform in Israel. Um, and then we got another guy that's going to offer the platform in Mexico. So these just plug us in with overseas buyers.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
really, and whether they're somebody who wants to buy or sell a property, and overseas buyers are really awesome. So that's one of the elements of, as you said, kind of connecting all over the world is our goal. But again, we're not here to compete with anyone. We understand that competing with when you go to compete with an investor lift, a Privy, a Hive Mind, a Property Onion, Connect an Investor. These are major forces to be reckoned with, and that's not our game. That's not where we want to be seen as a teammate. We want to be seen as um, a additional way to kind of assist those major monster firms from to be able to get more reach, get more sales, and that's really our
Hmm.
it's really our position in the market, really.
So let's talk more about well, two things. First is you brushed on it is all of the integrated services that you have in the platform, the title companies, the lenders, transaction coordination, a lot of these sort of like investor friendly service providers that a lot of people just they don't know who are the players, right? And so you're doing a lot of the legwork for them by going out and finding them and getting them on board with the platform, getting them integrated digitally and technically integrated, and then making them available to all of your users, whether it's on the list side of the inventory side, or it's on the disposition or the buyer side. That saves a lot of people time and saves them a lot of money, so they don't have to go out and build those relationships on their own. You're doing it for them.
Right, absolutely. And as a developer programmer with a programming team, I I've had a lot of people come to me and want to hire me to build elements of the software for them and integrate. And many of the companies aren't fully integrated. And I think probably we're one of the first companies or whatever in the space to really be fully integrated on so many levels. I mean, our integrations, but again, as developers, we that's our wheelhouse. Like that's our specialty. Um, you know, my specialty is not to be able to like go out and sell your deal for you. My specialty is building software and building platforms and allowing you to connect with thousands and thousands of other groups. And so I can write that software, and we have written that software. And so for us, we've integrated, as an example, title company. So in the space, there's about five really major ones. You have your Endpoint, which is a First American group. You have Qualia, you have Resware, you have At Close, and then you have SoftPro. These are some of the major. AccuTitle, I think, is another one, but more in the eastern side of the country there. So we've integrated with five of those six that I just mentioned. We're fully integrated. And what that means to an investor is that if you do a deal on our platform and any one of the title companies that you deal with are on any of those platforms, they are essentially plug and play. You submit a request to our office if you don't see one of your title companies on there, and you say, "Hey, we want to add this title company." We can instantly add that title company, and at that point, it's just adding their credentialing, and that's it. And they're live, and we synchronize with them, so we can actually pass not only the contract or the assignment agreement over to them digitally, we can also pass along all the documents, every document related to that deal that's attached to the platform. We can deliver that directly to the title agent, and they love it. I mean, we did a demo with there's a group called Title Clearing and Escrow. They are operated part of the family of Fay Servicing, which is a major servicer in the U.S. here. And we did a deal with them. We had 30 of their closing agents on a Zoom call. We passed a deal. We did a test transaction. We sent it through. The whole crowd Everyone on this thing erupted in cheers, clapping. It was amazing. It's like goosebumps kind of thing, right? And there are people that have been in the closing and title industry for 30 years who said, wow, I never thought I'd see the day that investor could click on a button, sign a contract digitally, and pass all the information over to them. They don't have to key anything in. There's no typing, there's no anything. All the documents are there. Everything is in their system. All they have to do is call the client and start processing the title order. So that's super exciting to me. And that's what really drives me. Those are like, you see people, oh, their big reward is money. My reward is like those kudos, those claps, those the people kind of appreciating, the fact that we did something really cool and people just saying, I've never seen that. This is amazing. Even contacting Qualia when we first did a couple of years ago, they were like, they were like, we don't really have people connected to our system. And so we were really kind of in the forefront of that.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I did with the medical industry. There's an 835 remittance advice. I was part of the think tank that developed this universal formatting and things. And so I take a lot of pride in being kind of cutting edge and being that guy. Um and to me, not that process is like something that no one else can do. It's just that no one's really investing the money. But for us, I'm like the shoemaker, right? I can make shoes for my family and I can tear them apart and make them again because again, I'm the shoemaker. So for me, the programming side is the easy part of the equation.
And then the next thing I wanted to touch on too is this idea of tokenization, right? So you said it isn't big right now, but when people hear blockchain and they hear tokenization, they next think crypto, right? And so this is different than crypto. We're not talking about coins, right? We're talking about leveraging blockchain and smart contracts to be able to take a real estate asset and to basically chop it up into little pieces and then sell those pieces. And you can buy a token in, say, an apartment building, right? And that's the whole concept here is it's fractionalization, it's fractional ownership of a piece of real estate. And so you talked about BlackRock, so they're moving a lot of their assets into tokens, right? So because it's safer, it's on the blockchain, it's transparent, and everything's tracked digitally, right? So this is that where a lot of real estate transactions are starting to move and be stored as in this blockchain. Tell more about how that's coming together. There's a company that you're working with. I'm not sure who you can talk about and who you can't, but how is this moving forward?
So, okay, that's a great question. And everyone that's listening should really listen up on this because this is a great, and Benson, thanks for bringing that up because this is really something that I mean, write it down on a piece of paper. Mark Kole told you, or Benson told you about blockchain. It's coming, and mail it to yourself. And I'm telling you, to be mind blown when you see how many of these big firms we are working with. I'm working with all kinds of groups right now. We got into this space I want to say I don't want to say by accident, but by accident, somebody brought it up, and so we started digging in. And when I started asking different real estate investor groups and different people, kind of in our space, if they knew much about it, and there's a couple people that knew about it, and it's a very, very weird space to be in because if you're into blockchain, you are so convinced that blockchain is the future, and it is, but it's almost like when you tell people who don't know anything about blockchain about it, they're almost like, yeah, that's something for the future. That's, crypto, that's whatever. I'm not in it. I don't care about it. And that is this thing is coming so fast, literally like a train down a track at hundreds of miles an hour coming at you. And before you know it, it's going to hit you. So it's really important that you brought this up because whether you're fractionalizing, see, now a lot of the people in our space are fractionalizing or they're syndicating these deals, and it's kind of the old fashioned way. So they're doing this syndication and they're doing it kind of old school. The new way of syndicating any property or even leveraging any property is now going to be through this blockchain process. Well, the blockchain is something that requires, it's all programming. So for a guy like me, this is a dream come true, right? Because for me, software development is my wheelhouse. So for me, I have a leg up on every single listener out there because I'm a developer and I'm already in it and I'm already moving forward, unless they're already in it and they're ahead of us, which there are quite a few people that are light years ahead of even where I'm at. But what's really cool is that it's not mainstream yet. And it's a fractionalization and leverage on uh, current real world assets. Something I heard that was really, which is really, really important and key to understand, is that if the US dollar goes away, which by the way, it's headed that direction, it's all moving into this digital dollar. The only way that you're going to survive this dollar removal or the dollar disappearing and everything moving into digital currency is by digitally converting your assets into a digital format like a piece of real estate. So this is a perfect example. If you own a house, if you have $500,000 in cash in your mattress and you have a $500,000 house, you can't really tokenize your $500,000 in cash unless you convert it obviously into current crypto or whatever. But the point is that a piece of real estate has its value, whether it's digital dollars or regular dollars. You can sell that for, you can go today, take a $500,000 piece of property, and you can literally sell it for US dollar, or you can sell it for Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP, whatever you want to do. You have that ability, which is the awesome thing about real estate. And so if you are an investor and you are investing in real estate, this is a great thing. And if you tokenize that real estate and put it on the blockchain, now you can still sell it for cash. You can still sell it for US dollars. Um, that's kind of the cool thing about it. So this, what we're doing is we are building and have almost completed our wizard that will allow you to convert real world assets into digital blockchain um, uh, tokenized assets. So you can tokenize it, and then you can either hold it all or you can sell it. So you can take a $500,000 piece of property and you can tokenize it into 500 $1,000 tokens, and you can sell them, and you can sell them to cross border. So anyone from anywhere in the world that has crypto or access to crypto can purchase those and hold those assets or a share of that or the equity in that. Um, and you could still, you don't have to sell it at all. You can just hold it yourself, and now you have the value there. And doesn't mean you have to sell it for 500,000. In 10 years, you could sell it for 1 million or whatever the value is on that time. So it's just a really great way to kind of placeholder your property, your real estate, and be able to instantly sell those tokens to somebody without, you don't even have to go through the closing process actually, because you can sell the tokens. I can make a token available. And when you make a purchase of that using your crypto, it's instantly available. I literally am liquid to that money. I've got a fee on it, but I still, if you do the transaction right now, it's like sending a text message. If you send me a text message and say, here's $500, or you send by a token, it's the same delivery time. The only difference is that the money's available, like that's instantly spendable for me. So
There's
it's
so
really,
much about this that is for me difficult to understand because it's so new. Um, I know more is coming out about it, but talk about how you said that people are doing syndications the old-fashioned way, and there's a lot of like SEC requirements around that, right? So how will you be able to allow people to tokenize and sell fractional ownership pieces, essentially syndicating and still be SEC compliant?
yeah. So that's the beauty of the software. We build in all of the compliance into the software. And that's really, it's so much. I mean, if you're an expert, you're an attorney, you're some sort of person who has done these SEC deals and you know it inside and out, you don't need, you still need the software because you have to do it using a software product. However, if you don't really know all the laws and rules and everything else, you want to use a software that already has all the compliance built into it. Um, and so there's so many nuances about it that almost like almost like I'll give you a great example is H&R Block. Everyone knows H&R Block, right? You
Hmm.
go online, you basically do your tax return, it asks you a series of questions and it's foolproof. At the end, boom, your tax return is done. You hit a button and you submit it. Boom, you're done. That's very similar to what we're building on the platform is whether you're selling a owner financing note that you want to tokenize, or you're selling interest in a $50 million project that you're trying to sell in $1,000 increments or $10,000 increments, we can do that for you as well. If you're trying to, virtually do anything with tokenization, our platform is going to be able to kind of walk you through the step by step. You just screen by screen by screen answer the questions and set kind of like a multiple choice. And so it's foolproof. And so that's one of the things that you want to be really cautious and careful and make sure. And not every software does that, believe it or not. I was thinking that everybody would build the compliance in. But again, I come from the healthcare, the medical side of things. Everything with healthcare is driven by compliance. It's HIPAA, it's CPT codes, it's all this different elements that hospitals and doctors and medical providers have to do. So I've taken that concept and built it into our widget, if you will, or our wizard. Um, and so that's really what we're doing is building in the compliance so that you just have to answer the questions. Do you want to sell your token for this much or that much? Do you have an LLC? Do you have a trust? I mean, so to help people really understand tokenization, because I think that's really the beginning point. If currently you have a piece of property and I'll use myself and yourself as an example. So if I want to sell you my house, um, you make an offer to me, you write up an agreement, you send it to me, I agree to sell it. We send it to a title company. The title company goes to the county records and they file a transfer and they transfer the deed name from my name to your name. And now, boom, you're the owner, right? So that's how it typically goes. On a blockchain and with the tokenization to keep it super, super, super simple, essentially, you're not selling the actual property deed we're not transferring the deed from my name to your name. What's happening is I'm actually holding that property in an LLC and I'm selling you an equity interest in my LLC, which now you own. So I'm not transferring the house per se or the real estate. I'm transferring the LLC that owns the house. And that's really the
Hmm.
easiest way to understand it. It's a little bit more complex, but from a really high level, that's really conceptually what you're doing. And it's real easy, to once you get the hang of that and you understand that concept, um, almost like buying shares in American Airlines. You're not buying the plane. No one's saying, "Oh, do you want to invest your money and I'll give you, the title for the Boeing 747, or do whatever." You're actually just buying shares in a company, and that's essentially what you're doing with blockchain. Is you're buying shares or equity interest in the actual entity that owns it, and they call it an SPV, special purpose vehicle. And that's
Hmm.
really your LLC, your entity, or the entity that owns it. And so that's really kind of what you're doing with this whole process is really just kind of buying equity interest in that. Now you can buy all the equity interest in the LLC, or you can buy half or whatever they've divided it into tokens. It's pretty obvious that, if I wanted to buy a equity interest in a $1 billion, famous property or something, I probably could not do that financially. However,
Hmm.
I could afford $1,000 equity interest in that, let's say they were selling the Statue of Liberty. They would sell that as equity shares in it. You could buy shares in it, but you couldn't. I mean, I don't think very few people besides like an Elon Musk or somebody could afford to buy that. And that's really the beauty of it is allowing average investors to get involved in, like giant, giant buildings in downtown New York City. Buying that, you'd have to be a pretty, pretty big investor. Or could the average American or local investor get involved and buy it and a share in it, sure. And it depends on what they set that price. And as a tokenizer issuer, you can set the price to whatever you want. If you want to sell a 10 million shares, 10 shares in a $10 million property, you set them at a million. Well, then you got to have investors to buy $1 million share. And they could do that online, by the way. They don't have to necessarily, come and see you, go to the bank and sign the papers at the title company. They're literally just going to click a button. We've got people in Bahrain. We work with people in the Gulf region. We have family offices that get involved in these, and they can buy multiple shares. They can buy the whole project, but they love it because they have crypto holdings and they can essentially buy that digitally without transferring $1 from any bank. They can just go online and they can just make a purchase of the shares that you set up. So
Right. And so what's recorded at the county then? Is at the county, the deed's just going to say the name of the LLC?
yeah, and that's how it is currently. So and that's the this is the real big element that I see. And this is just my own personal view. And this is something that I'm building into what I'm building. Currently, there's this, you know, um, digital world and there's the real world, like the metaverse and the real, real world, right?
Hmm.
And so, very similarly, right now, blockchain and all the, not all, but I would say a majority, if not most of the people doing blockchain right now, they're not real estate people, they're tech people. So, these tech people in their mind are thinking, wow, we're going to put all this real estate out in the digital universe and the metaverse kind of thing, right? And from me being, I'm a programming guy, but I'm also a real world guy. And so for me, one of the things that not a lot of people are thinking about, but we're definitely thinking about is how do we synchronize the information so that not only will the county have it, but the metaverse, the universe, the digital world, we can post it on the blockchain and we can also record it, cross record it onto the county records. And that's something as a developer that I'm personally working on because I see the disconnect. But when you talk to somebody who's really doesn't know real estate or they're really super focused on just the digital world, they don't see the real need for connecting this to the local counties or anything really. Um, it's just something that in my conversations I've come across. So we are going to be synchronizing it, which makes us a little bit different because we realize that not only do we have to post it on the digital world, but we have to also go back to the counties and we have to record it or cross record it or document somehow that this has been tokenized. And that's really something that we have been really working on. And again, not everyone in this tokenization side of things are real experts when it comes to real estate, and they've probably
Yeah.
not done transactions. So, kind of coming from a person that has done real estate transactions and somebody who's done digital transactions, I get it, and I see that connection between there. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be important too because I'm thinking about, okay, so if at one point or another, someone who controls that LLC wants to rent that property out. Let's say they want to turn it into a rental. Well, who manages that? Like someone has to be in charge of the management of the property.
absolutely. And this is things that we have built into our software that we identify who's kind of still controlling the property. And so we're going to have a, not to give away our secret sauce, but we're going to have a token, kind of a controlling token, that will allow the holder of that token to be almost like almost like the key to your house. We're going to give that
Hmm.
person a token that's digitally assigned to them that says, hey, this person is the kind of managing director or managing partner, if you will, of the property. And that will transfer with the ownership of the property when you transfer it. But if you only buy 10% or 10 of my 100 tokens, then you obviously probably not going to get that token to control the property. But I can hand that to you if I wanted to digitally hand that off. But there's a lot of really cool elements to the tokenization, and it allows for so much leverage. It's actually in a lot of ways it's a little scary because there's a lot of leverage that can be created. And what I mean by that is where they can sell, it's worth 1 million, but they're going to leverage it to 3 million or something. And there's a lot of opportunity for fraud. And so we're very, very, very focused on making sure that we safeguard that. As an example, you go, so I'm going to tell you the difference between what we're building and what some people are building so people can be aware of what to look for. So just as kind of an FYI to the audience listening, you want to be sure that if somebody tokenizes a property, um, or kind of takes an LLC or something like that, you can actually publish that on multiple blockchains. So theoretically, I could, if I wanted to be a very dishonest person, there is a mechanism there that you can actually try to kind of post that blockchain, that for sale on multiple different blockchains. Um, and also, there's a possibility that you could actually tokenize an LLC that doesn't exist. So what we're doing is we're adding all these safeguards in to make sure that when somebody tokenizes a property, that the LLC is actually in good standings and they're actually the owner, their name is on it somewhere, they're in control of that LLC, so that they're not just tokenizing your LLC and I'm not selling what's the assets held by you. And so there's a lot of that. We're capturing a lot of data excuse me, about the people who are tokenizing. And we're really focused on the fraud prevention of that element. Now, I'm sure other people are thinking of that, but that's the very first thing that's the first thing that comes to my mind is how do I safeguard somebody? How do I to the best of my ability, ensure that you actually own the LLC that you're tokenizing? How do I add that you're not publishing it on um, creating a token in one blockchain, let's say on the XRP ledger, and then you're going out into the Ethereum area and re-tokenizing that same exact asset, selling a motorcycle multiple times, and then turning around and putting an ad on Craigslist and selling it for the final time to someone else. And so those are the things that keep me awake at night, things that I've been focused on. And I
Hmm.
have a lot of that. And that's where the synchronization with the county records is really great because we're actually going to be pushing some sort of notification to say, hey, this item, this element, this property was tokenized on the blockchain on the XRP. This is an example. And so by putting that on notice, um, we're really focused on that so that we can document that. We're also focused on building products that we're going to be building out an element that we're going to deploy to all of the title companies that will allow title companies to cross-check, what has been published on the chain, what's, you know, so that when they're doing a title search, now people have to be aware somebody could have tokenized this property and sold it to somebody from another country who thinks they own it. And, you know, there's a lot of this that potentially could happen. But I want people to understand that, what PropertySource is doing is we're super hyper focused on making sure that we've covered all the angles for you. Everyone should still be very diligent, make sure they do their homework, make sure they check it all out. But to the best of our ability, we're going to be doing that. Now, not everyone's doing that. The mindset for many people I've met with at different blockchain events is, kind of buyer beware kind of thing. I mean, not that people are out to see anyone get rooked or stolen from or anything like that, but um, many people in the space feel that the blockchain is, the only place it should be listed, and it is. It's super secure space. But I feel like there should be this cross synchronization so that we can kind of, get everyone on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a key part of it. How so that they can do that title search and make sure that, when they're transferring title that, when they sell that property to somebody else, like how do you get all the token owners to want to sell, right? If they want to sell a house and there's 10 tokens, right? And it's $1 million house, 10 tokens, they're all worth 100 grand. You get 9 of the token owners to want to sell it to somebody who wants to live in it, but one token owner doesn't want to sell. Like how that would be like a weird situation that you'd have to track. So I could see this putting a lot of uncertainty in transferring title to somebody when you don't know like who controls the tokens, if it's recorded or not at the county. So there's going to be a lot of things to figure out to make sure that this is a transaction can happen clean and there's no clouds on title.
Yeah. And that's the other thing to know, that if somebody sells that the property that you just bought on the blockchain, it's currently probably never going to, I mean, unless you know blockchain and you went out personally and looked on the blockchain and you were able to find it, there is no real way that the county or that the title company knows at the moment that somebody did that. And that's why this is so kind of new and revolutionary, and there's so many elements to this that are getting, the kinks are getting worked out, but it's coming so fast that it's like people are really quickly getting involved in that process. And I'm working with this guy, Steve Linker. Uh, anyway, really neat guy. He's Jimmy Valley. People could look him up. Jimmy Valley is a pretty well-known guy in the crypto space and XRP, and he's a former attorney, M&A, probably guy, mergers acquisitions person from Houston, Texas, and he's really just such a dynamic guy that we've started working with here at PropertySource. We're teaming up with him, and he's got so many huge connections, but he really has a really great understanding of this, and he's been kind of guiding us through this process. Also, W3 SaaS, a guy named Boone, founder of this company. He, like many of the folks that have gotten into this 10, 12 years ago or whatever, they've really been in it and seen it all. And they're really good people, and they really want to see amazing things. They want everyone to be safe. And their big focus, kind of almost daily, the conversations are, how do we safeguard people? How do we build something? How do we set a standard? Because there's no standard now. There's nobody
Yeah.
could build a blockchain product and publish onto the blockchain. You could build a blockchain product. Nobody's checking to see that your product meets standards, my product meets standards, or my platform. No one's checking that. And there are people in the space, probably not just this Boone and Jimmy and Steve and everybody that we're dealing with. There's a lot of people wanting to see that kind of standardization and rules and regulations. And there's this fine line to balance between, there's a freedom that comes with tokenization, that the government's not involved in all these different things. And then there's this whole, how do you police it? How do you make sure people do the right thing? And so there's definitely a balance going on here. And I think what you have to do is find some trusted folks to work with. Be careful, pick your partners, if you partner with PropertySource, which is, we have currently 380 educator groups, influencers, groups, like communities already signed on to our platform participating. We have another almost 50 lender groups, hard money lender groups that we've teamed up with, that wanted to be a part of the platform, that will use tokenization that we provide. We have another probably almost 280 more hard money lenders that will be coming on through a partnership that we have coming on. Our goal is to have about 1,000 communities worldwide on this platform, which represents, 4 million, users or whatever. And so for our goal is to build products like the blockchain tokenization tool that's going to allow our users to feel confident, to feel safe, to make sure that we are at the forefront of this, protecting their transactions, protecting them, and making sure that, everything we can possibly think of gets built into this to safeguard everyone. And I think that's important, like finding somebody to team up with. And again, our platform's free, so why would you not join? We have millions and millions of dollars worth of technology built, and we're offering it for basically free. You can sell all your deals for free on our platform. And that's really where we're coming from. We make a hosting fee and some technology fees from processing the paperwork. But we don't charge brokerage fees. We don't charge anything. That's not really what our game is. We're just
Yep.
trying to be like a technology and get a technology fee, a very small fee for helping process this whole service.
Well, it's all really exciting. I can't wait to see how this develops out. And for anybody who's watching that wants to sell a property, I have a marketplace. It's called the Omni Marketplace. And this is a place where you can go and you can sell your properties for free. You can find properties to buy. If you want to get your own marketplace set up, there's going to be a link in the description here where you can get your own marketplace through Omni. We've already started this process partnering with Mark and his group. So make sure you check out our marketplace, Omni Marketplace, which is built on the PropertySource platform, and you'll be able to do all the things that Mark and I have been talking about. And Mark, I'm really excited about the blockchain launch when that comes out here soon. So you guys keep an eye out because as soon as that launches, you're going to see a lot more content from me about how that works and how you can start to either tokenize your own real estate or buy tokens in real estate using this amazing platform that Mark has built. And so, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us explaining all these cool things that you're working on. And really looking forward to see how everything develops.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And kind of the last thing I wanted to mention to everybody is by getting on the Omni Marketplace, it's absolutely free. You can join. You don't have to stay on. There's no credit card. There's no, there's no catch. Like everyone's like, what's the catch? Well, there's no catch. The catch is we're trying to build a giant network of whether you're a top investor, you got millions of dollars to invest, or you're just brand new, or you're just kind of poking around, thinking about doing it, you can go on the marketplace and find deals. If you're telemarketing different people, I have a bunch of properties, so I normally get hundreds of phone calls a month from different people asking me if I want to sell my property, which is really great, but annoying at the same time. But at the same time, if you're looking for properties, we have a lot of properties for sale on the Omni Marketplace. It's omnimarketplace.com, I think, and
.net. .net.
oh, .net. Okay, so omnimarketplace.net. And the final thing to mention is that we are getting our major um, groups on our big institutional buyers are on the omnimarketplace.net. And those are the big equity funds that are buying like Invitation Homes, Progress, American Homes for Rent, First Key, Progress, My Community, um, Amherst, all these big players. They have a buy box on our system that when a property is entered on the platform and it meets their buy criteria, it instantly alerts them to say, hey, this property was just posted. And they basically get a 24-hour kind of head start to start looking at that property before anyone else sees it. So that's a really cool feature from the omnimarketplace.net. So
Hmm.
go on there for free. And I mean, we just want you guys to join. Everyone listening to this podcast, just join, show your support for, you don't have to spend any money. No one's going to telemarket you. No one's going to solicit you for buying anything. Your name's not sold to any list or anything. This is a grassroots kind of platform that is just set up to kind of interconnect everyone. We want to build this to a 4, 5, 6 million user platform. And again, you don't have to spend any money. Come in, check it out, make offers. You can make offers live on the platform. We provide the contracts, we provide everything. Just hit the button and make the offer, and it'll go directly to the seller. So it's direct to seller here. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Well, and
so
also too wholesaling, right? Like let's not forget that that's one of the main uses for this is for wholesalers who are going out and locking up contracts. They can post these on the Omni Marketplace for free. Find it, thousands of buyers out there get access to institutional buyers, hedge funds and such who are just hungry for deals, who can't get enough. So this is a way for wholesalers to really open up their buyer network and have access to all these people who have really deep pockets and have a hunger for properties. So there's a lots of people out there who should try it out. It is absolutely free. So sign up below, get your account set up, and then get ready too for the future, which is selling stuff through blockchain. It's going to be coming really, really quickly. Mark,
Absolutely awesome. Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much for
everyone,
taking
for
the
sticking
time. I really appreciate you
out.
spending a little bit of time with us.
I'm a little long-winded, so I apologize to everybody, but I'm really passionate about sharing, and anyway, so appreciate it. If you see us at an event or something, make sure to stop and say hello, and would love to chat with you, and any information I can share, it's awesome.
Awesome, Mark. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Keep an eye out for more amazing guests like Mark here in the future on the REI Hacker Podcast, and make sure to like and share this episode. Have a great day.
That's a wrap on today's Real Estate Revelations. Thank you for tuning into the REI Hacker Podcast. Remember, every property has a story, and every deal is a lesson. Until next time, keep hacking the real estate world.